You're looking in the mirror and you're like, fuck, I look like shit, should I be bulking or cutting? Or maybe you do have some skin in the game, you're just unsure what direction to take your physique in. Well, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly whether you should be bulking or cutting. By the way, my name's Jack. I've been training naturally for over 10 years. I've done at least 8 bulking and cutting cycles, and I also have my doctorate degree. Okay, fine, I graduate in like 3 weeks, but by the time this video is up, I'll officially have my doctorate degree, so you guys can start calling me Dr. Jack. Actually, please don't call me that. The point is, I have a lot of credibility to be making this video, so let's dive right into it. The number one indicator as to whether you should be bulking or cutting is without a doubt your body fat percentage. Now, the best way to find your body fat percentage isn't by getting DEXA scans, it's not by doing any body scans, it's actually by simply eyeballing it. You're gonna have to just do some research, watch some YouTube videos, and get a good feel as to what certain body fat percentages look like. So knowing your body fat percentage is super important. Now, if you're above 18% body fat or below 10% body fat, then you can just click off this video, because if you're above 18% body fat, then you should 100% be cutting, and if you're below 10% body fat, then you should 100% be bulking, assuming you're natural. For the rest of you, you want to float somewhere in that 12 to 18% body fat percentage range. So ideally, in a perfect world, you would bulk until 18% body fat, then cut until you're about 12% body fat. But really, it's not that black and white, because for a lot of us, there's seasons. I'm talking winter and summer. Now, in the summer, you're really going to want to be lean to have that nice muscle definition. You're going to be shirtless way more, so you're going to want to have the abs. You're going to want to have that nice rip, like really lean physique. Now, to get that lean, ripped look that I know you guys are dreaming of, you are going to have to get down to about 12% body fat. At 12% body fat, you look super lean, you look ripped, you'll have abs, but it's not that low where like you lose your libido, you have trouble sleeping, you have no energy. So it's kind of like you have all the good effects of being shredded without really any of the bad effects. So that's why for most people, I recommend getting down to 12% body fat, unless you're like that one dude who just isn't satisfied with their physique at 12% body fat. In that case, you could push 10. I wouldn't go anywhere under 10 if you're natural, but just keep in mind going from 12 to 10 is a pretty big jump, and around 10% body fat is where you'll probably start to see some of those negative side effects I touched upon. Don't get me wrong, you'll be shredded, but it's kind of like risk versus benefits. So if you're within 3 months of summer, or say it is summer for you, then I would recommend cutting. The reason why I say start cutting in 3 months in advance is because however much weight you think you need to lose to get to about 12% body fat, it's probably like double that. Keep in mind that 1% body fat is the equivalent of like 2 pounds. So if you're aiming to lose about 1 pound a week, which 1 is healthy and 2 is how you spare muscle mass, because the slower you lose the weight, the more muscle you'll retain, then it's gonna take you 12 weeks if you have 12 pounds to lose, if everything goes perfectly. Keep in mind, you're probably gonna have some setbacks, you're probably gonna have some big cheat days, those summer nights of partying. So really, I would strongly recommend starting in advance, because most people really struggle to cut and actually get shredded. Now, the only time I would recommend bulking instead of cutting in this scenario is if you're like 11, 12, 13% body fat, but you're like blatantly skinny. Like you still have your abs, but you're kind of a stick figure. In that case, then yes, I would recommend bulking. But if you're just like, 15% body fat, have a little bit of a stomach, then always cut for summer. Unless you're just trying to be a bouncer in a club and just look huge in shirts, but look terrible with your shirt off. Okay, so now summer's done. Hopefully you were able to maintain that throughout summer, and now it's starting to be winter and it's time to bulk. Basically, throughout winter, you want to get up to a maximum of 18% body fat. So if you're like 12% body fat, you have about 12 pounds to gain, because like I said, 2 pounds is the equivalent of like 1% body fat. This really doesn't sound like much, but if you're gaining the weight slowly, so like half a pound or a pound a week, to make sure it's nice lean muscle mass, you will notice a significant difference in your physique. I mean, if you're able to pack on 10 to 12 pounds in that being mostly muscle, and then cut for next summer, you are going to look insane at the beach. I understand that bulking's fun and you're probably going to be increasing the weight pretty easily on a bulk, but if you get above that 18% body fat threshold, what's going to happen is summer is going to be around the corner and you aren't going to start your cut in time, so you have like 15 pounds to lose in the span of like 2 months, and it's just like impossible. So you stay in that perma bulk all summer long, you take your shirt off and you're just fat. Yeah, you have some muscle, but you still have a gut and you're really like not attractive. You don't look that aesthetic, and then boom, winter comes, you're like, F it, I'm already bulked up, so I'm just going to stay in the bulk, and then you never ever get shredded for summer. So that's why you want a nice lean bulk in the winter, stay at a healthy 18% body fat, and then you only have to lose like 12 pounds, which should take you about 12 weeks to get back down to that 12% aesthetic beach body. Furthermore, cutting absolutely sucks. Most people find gaining weight much easier than losing weight. So if you have to cut for like 16 weeks, 20 weeks, it's gonna absolutely suck. You're gonna burn through way more muscle that way. So you want a nice lean bulk, that way the cut is easier. So basically, to tie it back together for the vast majority of you, here's what I'd recommend. If it's summer and you're already between like 10 to 13% body fat and you're muscular, like you have a decent decent amount of size, I would just maintain that through summer. If you're in that same body fat percentage, but you're like blatantly skinny and have like no muscle, then I would actually recommend bulking instead. If you're above 15% body fat and it's within 3 months of summer, then no questions, I'd recommend cutting. Now, say summer's ending and it's about to be winter and you're below 15% body fat, I would recommend bulking until about 18% body fat. If you're like right in the middle, you're like 15% body fat and it's winter, it's really up to you. You could play it safe for summer if you're not confident in your cutting abilities, or you can milk out a couple more pounds of muscle. You could probably gain like 6 to 8 pounds more max. And after every single bulk and cut cycle, your overall body composition should look better and better.